3 signs your wife might be cheating on you. This is Mark Santiago, empowered man, CEO, and founder. And I want to talk to you today about 3 signs that your wife may be cheating on you. Now, however, this isn't just about how to figure it out if your wife is cheating. Because a lot of you, that's why you're here. You're like, oh, I just want to find out if she's cheating on me. Okay, so I'm going to give you the signs. And then after I give you the signs, I'm going to tell you what to do about it. So make sure you watch this entire video, because this isn't just about catching your wife in an affair, or maybe she's having an affair and thinking through that, because I'm actually going to give you the options you have, and I'm going to tell you what I think your number one choice and the number one thing you need to be doing is at the end. Here we go. The very first sign that your wife is probably cheating on you is she's hiding her phone. This is a big one. A lot of times, if you notice that maybe she used to be more open with her phone, and like she would leave her phone out on the counter, maybe leave it face up versus face down. And all of a sudden it's always face down. Or she's always like kind of in a corner somewhere. She's never sitting openly with her phone. Or if you start to walk by, she starts to like maybe get out of whatever app she's on. Or things like that. That's when she's hiding her phone. There's a good chance that something possibly is happening. And look, there's a difference. Sometimes it's, flirting. Sometimes it's an actual emotional affair. And sometimes it's a full out, blown on sexual affair, etc. I personally don't think there's any difference between an emotional and physical. There's no less. In fact, for women, it's usually actually worse for a woman to have an emotional affair than it is for her to have a physical affair. And what I mean by worse is that she essentially has given her heart to a man in this way, which then makes her pull away from you as a married man. The physical part of it for a woman is much different from it than it is for a man. If you want to know more about that, I've got some videos on it. Go search my YouTube channel for affairs, and you'll find all about physical and emotional affairs. Number 2 is she will gaslight you. Maybe you'll question her. Is there something going on? Is there another person? Why are you hanging out so late? Why are you doing these things? Why are you like hiding your phone? And she will be like, no, I'm not hiding my phone. I'm not hanging out late. I'm not doing those things. I'm not doing this. That's gaslighting. That's a big sign that she's actually cheating on you. And number 3, there's a lack of physical connection, where it's like you want to have sex, but she pulls away. She makes a lot of excuses. That doesn't mean she's actually sleeping with another man. In fact, a lot of times it's still the emotional side, because women are emotional beings. And so if they start to emotionally give themselves to another man or another woman, because we have those too, then she's less likely to want to be physically connected to you. Hiding her phone and acting like nothing's going on, gaslighting you, and lack of physical connection are the top 3, in my opinion, signs that your wife is cheating on you. But you got options. I'm going to talk about 3 different options, and then what I think you should do to move forward. Here's option number 1. You can confront her, which I did, and it doesn't always end well. Matter of fact, in my situation, it definitely didn't end well. I was just like you. I decided I wanted to snoop. I got on her phone and figured out she was having an affair. I brought the phone to her and I confronted her. I said, what is this? Who is this guy? What are you doing? What the heck? Right? And I cussed and I yelled in anger, and it turned into a big blow up fight. She gaslighted me, tried to say it was nothing, that I was making it up, and all these other things. And that's what the confrontation did. In fact, it was probably one of the most traumatizing nights for my daughter at the time. And essentially my daughter heard all this fighting, and this was the first time she'd ever encountered any of this type of stuff. Because anytime we've had anything like this before, I was always good at controlling the situation and keeping her away from everything, and she didn't know. But this time she saw her mom be mad with me. She saw her mom try to leave, and she tried to convince her mom not to leave, and it was traumatizing for her. I had to hold her for about an hour after all of this, because she was shaking like a leaf, and she didn't know what to do with all this. It traumatized her and put a crack in the foundation of her relationship with her mom. So confronting her may be the thing that you want to do, and maybe that's the thing you need to do. I don't know in your situation, because I'm not you. And I'm going to tell you what I think you should do before you do any type of confrontation. But number 1 thing is you can confront. Number 2, you can let her continue until she comes clean. Now, this is probably one of the hardest things you can do, right? Is to just let her do her thing, allow her to have her affair, and then come back to you. I think if you're going to do that, you better have some boundaries, and those boundaries will probably open up. So for example, maybe you decide, you know what, I'm not going to have sex with her. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do that. Most men won't do that, because unless they know, they don't want to know. And they will pretend like she's not sleeping with another man so they can have sex with her, and everything's okay. So what I don't want you to do is bury your head in the sand and pretend like everything's okay. But if you want to let her continue until she comes clean, that's an option you have. That option is another hard option. And then there's a third option. You can ask her to go to marriage counseling. Now, obviously, if she's having an affair and she doesn't want to come clean with the affair, she's probably not going to go. Or she'll come clean, or she'll go to the marriage counseling and gaslight the marriage counselor. And let me tell you, these marriage counselors, some know and some don't know. Some are really good at discerning these things, and a lot of them are not very good at discerning these things. And so she can go, and what she'll do is she'll bring up all the past, she'll bring up all the things that you've done wrong, and how you've wronged her, how you've hurt her 10 years ago with little things, because that's what they do when they're caught in an affair. Why? It's to protect themselves, their ego. Nobody wants to be caught in an affair. Nobody wants to do an affair. People don't get married to go have an affair. They've been caught in something and they don't want to own up to it. So this is how she handled it. Out of all those options, none of them sound really good to you. And so here's what I want to do is I just want to give you one thing to work on before you decide which option you're going to do. So here's the number one thing, is begin to do the emotional work on you for you. And what I mean by that is the emotional work is you looking internally, not at how you caused her to cheat, because no one's here to blame you. I know a lot of guys think that that's what I'm saying. I'm never saying it's your fault she's cheating. It's not your fault she's cheating. What is your responsibility is to work on the marriage and to work on yourself. And you can't work on the marriage with her if she's not in the marriage. So if she's not there, if she's not coming clean, if she's not deciding, hey, I want to own this and be open about it, you got to work on you. And either way, even if she's open and she's working on it, you need to work on you, because your wife's cheating isn't the problem. You are the problem. I have a saying, there's no such thing as bad marriages, only bad husbands. Bad marriage isn't her cheating. Bad marriage is what leads to lack of communication, lack of connection. And those things are the things that cause women to cheat. Now, I'm not saying, again, she had a choice. She made a choice to do that instead of communicate with you. That's where she's wrong. Or maybe she's been trying to communicate with you and you didn't listen. Either way, she's going to have to deal with the consequences of her decisions. But your consequences as a man are even worse if you don't handle them. Let's talk about some of those consequences. Number one, you become a bitter man and you spew that bitterness on everyone. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a guy come into my Facebook group or even come into my client group or come into my podcast and write notes or my YouTube, and they come in and they're like, hey, you know what? I'm done with this. My wife had an affair. She cheated. I'm moving on. I'm divorcing her, and that's it. I don't need any, have a good day. Don't need any help. I'm good. And it's the saddest thing, because that man's never going to get the breakthrough he deserves for himself. Instead of owning what he can own, he will simply go, my marriage ended because she cheated on me and wouldn't stop cheating on me, and so I'm just done. I moved on. But they don't ever actually move on, because when they get into a relationship with someone else, they do the second thing, which is they bleed on that person. So when you've been cut in a relationship, you've been hurt, you've been wounded in a relationship, if you don't deal with that, you're going to bleed on the next person. And that is disempowering. And the final one is you aren't free to love yourself or other people. You see, when we actually do the emotional work on ourselves, we begin to get freedom, and that freedom allows us to love ourselves and other people. This is why I say this is not about shaming you for your wife's affair. This is about you looking at your own self and taking the opportunity to grow. Again, not from what she did, but from the fact that your marriage is over. And that for you to create a new marriage with her, you've got to look inside and go, what can I do? What could I have done differently? How can I grow from this? What could I have been aware of? Because a lot of times, guys, the reason this happens is because you're not aware of what she's doing. And you choose not to be aware of what she's doing. You're so focused on golf. You're so focused on the NFL. You're so focused on all these other things that you're not paying attention to her needs. Again, it's her choice, her decision to have an affair, but it's still your choice and your decision to ignore her, to not love her the way she's asking you to love her. It's your choice. You've got to decide what you want to do with it. So before you do anything, before you confront her, before you let her do whatever she wants, before you take her to marriage counseling, start to do the work on you. That's why I created my Empowered Man Thrive program, my 5-day challenge. Those are some great opportunities for you to jump into what we're doing so that you can start doing the work on yourself, become the kind of man that she would want to come back to, an empowered man.